Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 463. I decided to play the English opening, kicked off with c4. My opponent goes knight f6, a very respectable setup. I go with the early fianchetto, and he goes with a symmetrical fianchetto g6. And knight to c3, I bring my knight out, goes bishop g7, I go bishop g2. So a reasonable, very logical setup. The main continuation here is castling. He's playing kind of a King's Indian setup against the English. But he played the unusual move c6 here. It makes sense. It's actually blunting my light squared bishop, and not a bad way to play. Maybe with the idea of d5 later undermining the center. Although that's not what he plays. He plays with d6 and e5 more in the King's Indian style here. Anyway, in this position I can get in the move e4, claim a bigger share of the center, and consider setting up this Botvinnik triangle here. So I'm still kind of experimenting with that setup. Could be a way to play. He goes d6. I go knight ge2, continuing with this plan. We're just out of the opening book there. He castles. I castle. And then he plays e5. And at this point, I could still go with d3. And set up this Botvinnik triangle. That would be a fine way to play. But I thought, well, d4 looks kind of interesting here too. I'm getting kind of a big center here if he takes. So I decided to throw this move in, see how it goes. E takes d4 and knight takes d4. But I didn't fully appreciate. I mentioned this in the video that we've kind of transposed into a King's Indian, but I didn't really consider all of the ramifications, and I very shortly make a mistake. Still partly thinking about the Botvinnik setup. In the he played cancel out. He played knight to g4. In the Botvinnik setup, it's often an idea to push on with f4, and there's typically a pawn in the center here that you're trying to undermine when you do that. That's your break in the position. The other break is with the b4 move if Black has placed a pawn on c5. Just different ways to expand on the queen side or the king side. It's a flexible opening, but you have this solid center here, and you don't have a knight on d4. What we have here is not the Botvinnik setup in the English. This is just a typical King's Indian kind of setup, and the move f4 is really weakening. In fact, I just did a video, Chess Mistakes of an A Player number 2, where I was talking, I had an example in that video as well, where I played f4 as white playing against the King's Indian, and it turned out to be a horrible blunder. So that's just a weakness I have here. Somehow I'm aware of threats along this diagonal. Particularly the bishop, is kind of looking through all these pieces, but sometimes this rook in the corner becomes a subject for tactics. So I'm usually pretty aware of those ideas, but I miss the ideas along this diagonal towards my king. I guess because I'm looking at the position as it stands now. This pawn, let's erase that. Let's erase those weird arrows. The pawn here is defending nicely along this diagonal, so I don't have anything to worry about. And it's not until after I make the move that I notice, oh, this diagonal looks pretty terrible now. And my opponent noticed this right away and played queen b6. And you'll notice, if you just want the chess engine perspective, here I have an advantage of plus 0.6. Now, of course, the engine kind of overrates these positions for white. I don't believe it's really that much of an advantage. But look at the swing after f4. It goes to the opposite direction, a big advantage to Black there. And he plays the right move, just getting on this open diagonal immediately, pinning this knight and threatening to take it. And it's a little bit difficult to defend. I play knight c e2. It's one of the few pieces I have available to defend, because the natural bishop to e3 defense is covered by the knight. I can't play that move. So I want to kick this knight and get in bishop e3 if I can. That's how I plan to survive this. He should continue piling on the pressure with rook e6. Going after the e-pawn, putting a rook on the open file. He tried he should play rook e8. He played instead bishop e6. And now I can actually defend with b3. I was really reluctant to play this move because b3, as I mentioned, opens up this diagonal. Now there is a tactic here of the bishop hitting my rook. So he could try and win the exchange here by kicking my knight. But it turns out the knight can take here with a tempo. So he doesn't really have time to grab the rook. I mean, if he takes my rook, I can take his rook. So that just doesn't work out. So he takes the knight, and I have time to get my rook out of trouble. So that that would work out fine for me. So b3 is the way to defend it. Don't be afraid of ghosts, you know. Calculate these sequences out and defend in the right way. Anyway, I played h3, and this just leaves the c-pawn hanging, and he grabs it. So he's maintained this advantage here, and he keeps it for quite a while. So let's take a look at this situation. He's threatening my knight here, and when he takes, this will leave my knight underdefended. That's the problem. And let's see, if I take back with the knight, oh yeah, and I can't take back with the knight because of the pin. So when he takes my knight, I'm going to have to take with the queen, and then he can grab the knight. So he's threatening to win a piece here. The only way I can save the situation is by grabbing his knight. I can't actually move this knight at all, and there's no way to bring another defender to my knight or to break the pin in time. So I have to grab his knight here. And so I get a piece, but then he gets the piece back. He trades off the bishop and grabs the rook here with check, and keeps that advantage, chases my king over to the h-file. And he would be just completely winning, but I have one sort of advantage here that kind of holds him at bay a little bit, and that's this strong set of pawns around my king controlling all of these spaces. But I have to be pretty careful here how I play it, and definitely black is on the way to winning, if not absolutely winning already. Let's see, I go rook b1 because I want to kind of unwind here. I want to play b3, bishop b2, get this bishop into the game. He goes knight d7. And right now I continue with this plan, b3 and bishop to b2, but this actually is a big mistake. It's already dangerous for me with his knight coming in here with knight to f6, a double threat hitting the e-pawn and the and the g-pawn. And I didn't quite appreciate the threat to the e-pawn, so you might want to think about this. What is a chess engine? The chess engine's suggestion is to play g5 and keep the knight out that way. Alternatively, there's queen d3, another idea, knight f6, and then king to h3, holding on to things in this way. Kind of a funny setup. That's kind of a computer line there, but probably g5 is a normal move there. So when I play b3 here, I've actually gone into a losing position. He goes knight f6, and then I go for this development of my bishop, trying to get my bishop out, but it's too late. He just takes the bishop, and now he misses his chance. He can just take this d-pawn. That's what I was saying. I didn't appreciate this threat. I mean the e-pawn, and he didn't appreciate it either. But if he took, I can't really take back because it's pinned, and he can just win it. So after knight takes e4, what's the engine is suggesting, queen d3 or queen e1. Queen d3 at least would unpin, and you have to move the knight back, or well, probably would play d5. Anyway, he's won a second pawn, and he's got this great knight here on e4. So anyway, another position which is just winning for black. So fortunately for me, he didn't spot this idea, and he played queen to c7, and now I go queen d3, and that unpins and defends this pawn. But in the meantime, I neglected the g-pawn, and he missed this idea too, which is really silly because that's just a hanging pawn here. That pawn stays there for about 3 moves undefended. Let's see, he goes queen e7. We were both focused, to our defense, we were both focused on the battle over the e-pawn. I play rook e2. He plays rook a to d8. I go rook f to e1. He goes queen c7, trying some more maneuvers with his queen. So that 3-move sequence went by. This pawn was hanging the whole time with check. Finally, I realized it and play the move bishop f3. And now we're back to that situation where black has the advantage that he's had ever since I played the move f4. But still not a winning advantage. I still can struggle on. So he plays queen b6. He's just maneuvering about, looking for ways to penetrate my position. I go over here with the king to g2, defending my bishop and helping to defend some of these dark squares. And now he makes the mistake that actually gives me back the advantage I haven't had in the game. He plays h5, And this just loses a pawn, but it's more than losing a pawn. It also, well, actually it doesn't lose the pawn right away. Mainly what it does is it creates these weak pawns around Black's king. And actually this pawn is so weak that he can't defend it. So it loses a pawn in the long run. But immediately the damage of just the destruction of the king position, the pawns around the king, is the main problem with that move. And then I can follow up with pressure on the h-pawn and actually win the pawn. Let's see, he defends with queen c5 for the moment, and I go queen f3, piling up. And now he plays rook e6, and now I can grab the pawn, which I do. But this position is even more dangerous. This is coming with tempo, so I'm chasing his queen. And now I actually have a winning attack here, but it has to be carefully played. The thing is, he has this defensive move, rook to g6, which is easy to see. But the attacking move here, which is kind of subtle, I think, is f5. And so the whole idea of f5 is not immediately to continue the attack with bringing more pieces in, but just to control this g6 square and remove that possible line of defense. And, where does the rook go? So the rook goes to f6. Then you can continue on with g4 and then flood in with the pawns. Or rook to h4. I like that idea. You drop the rook back so the queen can come in and penetrate along the h-file. Anyway, that's how to win this game. I throw in the rook check immediately, playing a little quickly. I think we were both starting to get a little low on time. And now I have an advantage, but it's not so great. This has given him time to defend. Best defense is king to f8 here, but he can defend with the rook. I try and maneuver in with my queen. He brings his queen in, and he's got everything covered. I trade off the rooks here, and he takes back with the queen. I want to keep the queen on, try and keep ideas for an attack, although the engine likes trading queens here. I drop back. He goes rook e8. Then I go f5. I did finally hit this idea, chasing his queen away. The queen drops back to g7. I do have an idea here. If I get a rook to this square, that would pin his queen against his king. So there are still attacking ideas in this position. But first I clear. I get my king up to defend this pawn and also clear the second row so my rook can come over. He goes f6. Get my rook to the h-file. He goes d5, undermining these center pawns and opening up lines for his pieces. This is pretty well played. I take. He takes back. And now the best way to continue the attack is with a move like queen to f4, maybe with the idea of bringing the rook up and over. Anyway, I didn't play that. I played the move rook e2, and after that it's just a draw because he trades rooks. And, he's got this passed pawn, but my king is in position to stop it. And, I've got extra pawns around his king, but his queen is here to block things. So basically this will just turn into perpetual check or something like that as the pawns come off. But neither side has any advantage. It's really dead even. And I just won this game on time. He ran out of time at this move. So anyway, with that win, I actually achieved my highest ever rating. I hit the rating of 1518, 1518. And so you can see, actually, it took quite a bit of luck for me to get a rating that high. But anyway, thought this was an interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon.